All right, guys, a nice win for the Utah Jazz tonight. A big win against Phoenix Suns, and that's 2 wins in a row for the Utah Jazz over playoff teams with clutch wins. Now, I know the Suns didn't have Devin Booker, but they didn't have Chris Paul, but they're still really good. They had Devin Booker. Devin Booker was monstrous tonight. Anyways, let's get into it. Before we keep going, though, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. This is our live post-game show on the Hoops Nerd channel. By the way, before we keep going, guys, you know what? The channel, I want to keep growing. We talk about this, but what I actually do is another thing. But we're growing. I'm trying to grow. It means I think what we got to do is a mix of the lives with the content that I do that's not live, the produced stuff. And that's what we got to do for the Jazz channel and for the NBA. I just got to do it, and we'll get to it. We'll keep going. This is something that's not going to just be a short-term thing, but a long-term thing. But the way this grows is if you like and subscribe to the channel, and if you join the channel to support it. Honestly, that really, really helps. All right, let's talk a little bit. Let's get into this and talk about this game. Nice win for the Jazz, but let's talk about the Suns first and just go over a little bit. First off, you've just got to talk about Devin Booker, who played 39 minutes tonight. The guy, I'm not the biggest fan of Booker just because, I'm not a Suns fan, but it's hard to just not respect how good he is. He's a fantastic player. He just is. Tonight goes 12 for 24, 50% from the field, 4 for 8 from 3. 7 rebounds, 7 assists. He was a plus, let's see. Was a -6, but that's because he was playing 39 minutes against the Jazz's best defenders at all times. 30 points. He's just a phenomenal player. He just is. And he finds a way to score, and he's the lead guy with Chris Paul out. And you know what? I mean, if you're a Suns fan, you've got to be frustrated because this Suns team is so complete in every aspect. I mean, honestly, every aspect of this Suns team is just so complete. That's the way I just would describe them, whether it's Chris Paul being that playmaker that just makes everyone around them better. And in the clutch, you just give the ball to Chris Paul in the clutch at the end of games. Like in a game like this where they missed him, you just give Chris Paul the ball, and he absolutely just makes good things happen. You've got Devin Booker, who's your leading scorer and the guy that kind of takes that offensive load. And he does it in an incredible way. 12 for 24, 4 for 8. Hard to argue with those numbers. And his three-point shot this year has just gotten better. So Devin Booker, all the props to Devin Booker. He's fantastic. Cameron Johnson, I loved in the draft. I did not understand the hate. I know he had like the injury stuff, but it was like the guy's like 6'8" and the best shooter in that draft. And people were like clowning the Suns for drafting him. And he's been nothing but incredible. Now, they're picked the year before. I can't remember who it was, the center that they literally just dropped. That sucks because that was a high pick and there were good guys in that draft. But Cameron Johnson was a great one. And sometimes you just miss in the draft. By the way, X marks the spot. Zintas, $5, sir. Thank you so much. Starting up right off the bat with an incredible donation. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it a ton. Zintas, that game was too close at the end for the comfort, but a good win for the Jazz. Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But what that makes me think, Zintas, is like, can the Jazz come out with a better impact at the beginning of the game? Because the Suns came out in this one and just like punched the Jazz in the mouth. I mean, it was an onslaught to begin the game. They absolutely took it to Utah, and credit to the Jazz that they bounced back. But it makes you wonder, is there something going on with the Jazz starting unit? And we're going to talk about it, that needs to change so that teams don't come out being up like 15-4 or whatever it was to start the game. You've got to adjust at some point to start the game, I guess. Not just throughout the game, but to start it. So that stuff like that doesn't happen quite so easily. Let's just go back to the Suns. Cameron Johnson, who's starting, I believe he comes off the bench. I could be wrong. Suns fans, let me know. Typically, if Chris Paul's playing, then Cameron Johnson would typically come off the bench. But Mikal Bridges is a defensive player of the year type player. I don't think he's obviously going to win it, but he is that caliber of guy. Definitely a first-team all-defense type guy. And then you consider his offensive game that's just improved. Tonight he goes 5 for 7 from the field, which is great. The Suns, by the way, did not miss. I think they missed their first shot. Well, they didn't miss their first shot. Rudy Gobert blocked the first shot on Ayton, and then they promptly went and made like 10 in a row. It was unbelievable. And it happens too often, to be honest. But the Suns do it because they're a really good team. But Mikal Bridges, 5 for 7. The guy is just amazing. And then, we know the toughness as Jazz fans of Jay Crowder. Tonight he had one of those good Jay Crowder offensive nights where he was 50% from three and 50% from the field. Really nice stuff for Jay. 16 points. Just one bad pass at the end. A Booker assist for the Jazz. C. Davis, member for 12 months, rookie. Thank you, C. Davis. Just giving props to C. I don't know if that means you joined or you're just putting it out there, but thank you for being a part of the channel, C. Davis. Looking nice there. Let's see, Robert Hall, $2. Thank you, Robert. $2. I appreciate it a ton. That opening stretch had me super nervous. I think every Jazz fan watched that opening stretch and was like, oh my gosh, here we go again. And they, you know what? I actually think this Jazz team showed some toughness for once. This team is a little different than it was 2 months ago. The toughness is actually there to get hit like that from the Suns. And then they come back and absolutely fight their way back. And there were some things that got me excited about some moves that Quinn Snyder made, but also just the players themselves. At some point, the players just have to be tough and fight your way back. And it's mental toughness. Can you stay strong when everything's going wrong? They fell apart at the end of that Lakers game against LeBron and just wilted. And then these last two games, they've shown some real toughness in the clutch. Rudy Gobert has that awesome night against Luka and the Mavericks. And then tonight they have a nice win against, it's without Chris Paul. So it would be nice to see how it would have gone with Chris Paul. And it would be nice to get this win against a Suns team with Chris Paul. But it's still a nice win. But anyways, that's what I want to say. And finally, let's just talk about Deandre Ayton. Fantastic player, Tonight, he was unbelievable. 11 for 15 from the field. That mid-range jumper is automatic. I mean, this team is like the mid-range masters. You've got Devin Booker, who's got that free throw line jumper. You've got Chris Paul, and we all know what he does. That mid-range shot for Paul is like a layup. And then you've got DeAndre Ayton. So this team is just built to get tough buckets against playoff defenses. They can just find guys who can knock down those open shots, at least against a Jazz team that really does a good job of stopping the three and at the rim. But if you can shoot the mid-range shot, you can really beat this Jazz team. And that's why this Suns team always gives Utah a problem, even without Chris Paul. You've got Ayton just going off tonight. Plus 16 for DeAndre Ayton. He was unbelievable. And I don't believe they gave him a contract, which was kind of strange. They need to figure out a way to lock him up, because this is a guy that is just absolutely going to be a great starting center for years. He's just great. His ability to defend, shoot the mid-range shot. He even shot that three and knocked it down. He's great. He's really, really good. I think he's been about as good as Suns fans could have ever hoped, All right, let's talk about the Jazz, guys. By the way, Kenny, member for 13 months. Member of the Blue Crew. I didn't watch the whole game. How did Forrest do? He seems always to do the right thing. Forrest was nice. I guess let's just talk about Trent Forrest for Kenny. Trent Forrest played 11 minutes. They were really solid. Plus 13 for Trent Forrest. I don't know if there's been a member of the Jazz that I've changed opinions on more quickly than Trent Forrest. Because beginning of this year, and by the way, in my defense, the first third of this season with Trent Forrest was rough. It was rough, and he's getting those 1 minute stints, and they would be rough. But I think in some ways, Trent Forrest just needs time on the floor, because what does Trent do? It's not always stats things that you see. It's like defense, and he has really learned to impact the game defensively. So if you look at this, Trent Forrest, 50% from the field. He only took 2 shots, but he was efficient with it. And he had 4 assists. And it's beyond this. The plus 13 shows up because his point of attack defense is great right there. He's great. He's just really, really good. An impressive backup point guard who can come in and play tough, strong, athletic defense, something this Jazz team needs desperately. And so we shouldn't be surprised that after, Joe Ingles, and we all know what Joe Ingles brings, offensively a better player than Trent Forrest, can run the pick and roll, although I don't know if he runs the pick and roll better than Trent Forrest, to be honest, but definitely a better shooter than Trent Forrest. That is unquestionable. But Trent Forrest has found a way to be efficient offensively, But the defense is what's such a big deal, because Joe Ingles, while he was on the floor before the injury, was just an absolute liability on defense. Couldn't stay in front of anybody. It was a problem. Now the Jazz have replaced that with Trent Forrest, with a combination of Trent Forrest and Danuel House and when Rudy Gay's been out, Eric Paschall. And it's no question that this Jazz defense is better. It's just 100% better. And you see that tonight in this Jazz bench, plus 19 for Hassan Whiteside, who had that unbelievable dunk. If you missed that dunk, guys, in fact, let's go watch it right now. This was an unbelievable play. I think it was this first one. Running dunk shot. All right, here we go. Watch this. Gets the steal, goes all the way. Wow! Right on. Right on. I forgot his name. JaVale McGee. Right on JaVale McGee. He went wow on him. On Call of Duty, he got the kill streak. We all know that Hassan Whiteside is big Call of Duty player. He got the kill streak. He called in the chopper. Yeah, that was the turret gun. That's what that was. That's what that was. Lee Christensen, member for 13. Lee Christensen driving the lane with the comment, wow, it's been 13 months already. Isn't it crazy? The memberships have been live for 13 months. How much fun is this? I just spit all over my new monitor. Anyways, oh, that was like the kill streak on Call of Duty. Can you tell I've been playing a little Call of Duty on my phone? Need to get me a PlayStation 5 at one of these years if they sell those anymore. But anyways, Hassan Whiteside plus 19. Impressive. It was really good. The bench won this game for the Jazz tonight. The Jazz need to start tweaking some things to figure out how their starters can actually win the games for them as well. Trent Forrest plus 13. Jordan Clarkson plus 20, continuing a nice little trend for Utah where Clarkson has been playing nicely lately. 10 for 17 from the field. I love this right here. This right here is what makes me really happy, because he is getting his shot inside and he is attacking his man, creating his own shot and doing it at an efficient level. When Clarkson is doing that, it's impressive, and he's playing within the offense. Look at this. 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I love it. I absolutely love it. David Lee, $4.99. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. You're amazing. $4.99. I love it. Thank you, David Lee. And love you too. David Lee says, love you, bro. I love you, David. I love you a lot. A lot. I love you. Anyways, let's see. Where do we go from here? We talked about Jordan Clarkson. All the Jordan Clarkson stands, give me some love in the comments. Freak, please. I get so much comments about Jordan Clarkson, and I love Jordan Clarkson. When he's great, we give him props. When he's not, we don't, okay? And I try not to be negative, but at the same time, sometimes we gotta be honest, okay? The comments make you crazy, and I shouldn't read them, but I try to, because I try to connect to the community. Let's see. Andrew Streeter, member for 5 months. Thank you for being a part of the community, Andrew. Closing with House over Royce was super interesting. Let's go to that comment. That's what I wanted to talk about. Andrew, you are locked in like Danuel House, the bow. Well, that actually kind of worked on the screen there. We could never trade House, so I can go like this. Anyways, Danuel House changed this game. Danuel House changed this game. All right. Danuel House came in for Royce O'Neale. Royce O'Neale was a minus 13, getting absolutely cooked. He was getting absolutely flambéed. He was getting put in the Traeger grill and smoked. He was being chopped up and putting on a grate in the grill and being served to the Suns, and they were eating it up. And Danuel House came in and put a stop to that, because look at this. Look at this. Devin Booker, who was absolutely eating the Jazz alive, was 30 points. The stat line is inarguable. It was unbelievable, and he was a minus 6, courtesy of Danuel House. Can we bring up? Oh no, like this way. I love you, Danuel House. I love you, Danuel House. Anyways, he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. I can't get over how much I love Danuel House. He was like breaking his elbow, diving to the floor. He was like shooting the ball from 3 and knocking it down. But the best thing of all was his defense on Devin Booker. This team has been in such need such dire need of athletic wing defense, and Danuel House brings it. And I know people were frustrated during trade deadline because everyone wanted the Jazz to make this miraculous trade where they turn, a torn ACL of Joe Ingles into something that you can actually play and use and win the championship for the Jazz. And that's just not how it works, because both teams have to get something that they want. And I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who, by the way, he's on the Jazz, but they got that in Danuel House, and they got him on a 10-day contract. They didn't have to give up a single asset for him. That is like executive of the year type stuff, because if you can put in Danuel House and he can play someone like Devin Booker and do what he did tonight, it's just a game changer. If Danuel House comes into the Jazz game against the Denver Nuggets 2 years ago, they probably win that series, because then you can just put him on Jamal Murray. Same thing last year. You have someone like Danuel House who can guard and switch on the perimeter, and you've got guys on the perimeter that can actually guard. Changes the game. It changes the game in a big way. So it's phenomenal. And I honestly, we've been seeing a little scary trend. The thing that's so frustrating too, look at these numbers from Royce O'Neale. 3 for 4 from 3. He took 4 threes and he made 3 of them. 9 points. 2 assists for Royce. The shooting is there. He's an over 40% three-point shooter. That is, when you talk about advanced stats, analytics, all of it, if you're an over 40% three-point shooter, that is just so incredibly valuable in the NBA. It is so incredibly valuable to have guys that can knock down open threes, because it's just, analytically, it's crazy town. It's crazy. 40% from 3 is the equivalent of like a 70%. It's like the equivalent of Rudy being like 70% at the basket, if not like 75. It's crazy efficiency. It's just, and that's why it's so frustrating when you have games like against the Lakers, when the Jazz wilted at the end and Royce O'Neale passed up like 2 open shots that turned into 2 turnovers. It's just backbreaking. You can't have it. And the trend that is making me a little nervous is that indecisiveness is back with Royce that wasn't there to start the year. To start this year, Royce came out and was just like gunning, and it was great. He was knocking down the threes. And we've seen the last 2-3 weeks, the defense has just not been up to par, although it's been kind of troubling for a while. I'm not going to lie. And it's, even against this, like we talk about the injuries to Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley against the Clippers, but we don't talk about how Royce O'Neale couldn't really guard in that series. It was just not very good. It was just not. And if we're being honest, like, look at this performance from Bojan Bogdanovic. This is the guy that's getting a lot. We haven't said a single thing, and this guy's skating by. He's walking around like the awkward kid meme, like the no one's saying anything, but this stuff can't happen. This can't happen right here. 1 for 5. You can't do that against the Phoenix Suns, and you can't do that. He was 2 for 8 last game against the Dallas Mavericks. You can't have it. You can't do that. I'm sorry. If you're doing this against the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks, I don't care if you go 9 for 10 from 3 against like the Orlando Magic or the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't care. I want this to be 3 for 5 or 2 for 5 every time you're playing against these good teams. But when you go 1 for 5 against the Phoenix Suns, who are the best record in the NBA, you 2 for 8 against Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic, who since like a couple months ago have been one of the best teams in the league record-wise, you can't do it. You can't do that. And so what this tells me is Danuel House is shooting his way into the starting lineup and into our hearts. Into our hearts. Much like he went into many hearts during the bubble. But he needs to be in the starting lineup, either for Royce or for Bojan. I don't care. Take your pick. Either one. Either one. Probably Royce. Probably Royce, because he's bigger and longer. He just is. And then you know what? That's not a problem. If Royce is on the bench playing with these guys, that's solid defense. Honestly, like when Jordan's having a rough day, and then maybe you just play Royce more. Maybe you just play Royce more. But I just think Danuel House at this point is just a bigger, better, longer, more effective player in almost honestly every aspect. I mean, he even like takes the ball and drives up and initiates, you know? I don't know. But anyways, I think he should be starting, and I think he's just an improvement on either of these two. Either. Right? The defense he did against Devin Booker is just game-changing. It's just game-changing. And Devin Booker's one of the best scorers in the NBA, and the things he did were incredible. Unbelievable. And if you want to win a title, you've got to have guys that are on the floor that can stop that 15-4 start for the Suns from the beginning, so you're not playing from behind the whole game, right? Wouldn't you like to have, instead of like having a certain starting unit that just like you're with every single game, for, you know, because the math and whatever on the net rating of the win plus minus Raptor war upwards trend cleaning the glass rating says one thing, but then when you play against good teams like the Suns, they punch you in the mouth and they're up by 15 to start the game. Wouldn't you rather start it off with your impact guys instead of saying, well, we start with these guys because the math says this, then we bring in Danuel House to fix everything because we were behind by 15. No, just start with the right guys. This shouldn't be too difficult. Start with the guys that impact more effectively from the beginning. From the beginning. Right? It's not that difficult. It really shouldn't be this complicated. It's not. Honestly, so much of coaching is just making things not that complicated and saying, you know what, this guy's just better. He's just better. He is. Tonight he was phenomenal. And offensively, he was good enough. And he's not afraid to take a shot. Danuel House, 3 for 4 from the field, 2 for 3 from free. Pretty good. Pretty efficient. And he played 21 minutes. And the nice thing is Quinn benched Royce. It's a big deal. And maybe Quinn's seeing it. You know, at a certain point, you've just got to go with what works. And if you don't go with what your eyes and all the evidence is telling you, then you're kidding yourself. And but Danuel House should be coming in. And I love that Quinn adjusted. The other thing, Quinn went with Hassan Whiteside extended minutes. And he didn't bring in Rudy Gobert to finish the game until 3 minutes left. And to be honest, he probably should have finished with Hassan because Rudy just did not have a great game tonight. I know the numbers, 14 rebounds is nice and 16 points. But he was a minus 15. He was getting cooked. And he had some bad plays. Like that play at the end when Rudy missed that layup at the end. I mean, we saw that. That was one of the interesting things is we had that mic up moment with Donovan Mitchell, where Donovan Mitchell is like talking and everything. And he goes to Rudy Gobert and he says, this is a 2-step game, not a 1-step layup. It's a 2-step strong game. And what he's saying there is go up and dunk the ball, rip that rim down Shaq style. You know, don't go up with a little soft layup thing. Dunk it. And guess what happens in those last 3 minutes? Rudy goes up for the layup when he should have just dunked the ball. Come on, Rudy. You know, and so what I really liked is that Quinn adjusted. Moral of this story is that Rudy Gobert was not playing very well this game. You know, and the numbers will say one thing, but your eyes will tell you another. You know, he just kind of struggled, and Ayton just ate him up. Vincent Leos, $5. Thank you so much, Vince. I really appreciate it. It's okay if House is not starting, but he should be in the closing minutes. Just my assessment. I agree. He just needs to play more. I would prefer him to start. Just based off of what we've been talking about. Start off with the better guy from the beginning. But if they don't, whatever. But I like that he closed. I mean, he's just honestly, just a better player, to be honest. Robert Hall, $5. Thank you so much, Robert. I kept waiting for our defense to fall apart like it always does, and we held the line. House, Whiteside, Forrest, Spida, and DPOY number 4 are making the difference. I agree. And I think closing with Danuel House is the right move. You know, he's just a better defender. He just is. Royce was just getting absolutely cooked by Booker. He just was. And you have to adjust. And it's not to say that Royce isn't a good defender. There are times where he's really good, but Royce is kind of a streaky defender. There's games where he's like great, and there's games where he's just like not. And in those games where he's not, you've got to move quick because it just doesn't happen all the time, you know? And when he's not taking threes, look how good his three-point shooting is. This is the thing. We shouldn't be ragging too much on Royce. He hits the threes, but it's the passivity that really drives me nuts. Like, shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. Just shoot the ball. Let's see. But anyways, I wanted to give Quinn Snyder credit. He put in Danuel House, and he gave Hassan extended run, and it was the right move. Look at this. 8 rebounds, 8 points, but he was a plus 19. He was just more effective. And sometimes there are just matchups like that. Sometimes it's just like, you know what? This guy is not quite as effective this game as this guy, so I'm going to go with Hassan a little longer because it's working. And it was the right move, and that won the game. Just flat out. And Trent Forrest, this backup crew has been amazing. At some point, we got to start having the Mike Conley conversation, and some of the Rudy struggles might be right here, but this is getting really troubling. Like, we had the All-Star break, we had the rest. 25% from 3, 5 for 13 from the field. This is the thing that's really scary, actually. This right here is scary. This is stuff that's getting like, because Mike, we know what Mike can do when he's on with this team and playing off of Donovan Mitchell. He can absolutely just knock down that 3, and he's so efficient, and he runs that pick and roll, and it's great. But man, right now it's just not happening, and this is like a trend recently that's just not great. And look at this, 4 turnovers, just not. What this is starting to tell me is that he's just not having the lift. He doesn't have. Oh, Audrey says hi, by the way. But anyways, Mike Conley. Audrey's my dog, for anyone. We have family over there actually upstairs listening to me probably go crazy. But Audrey has to stay in her crate for now because she cannot be trusted. But anyways, Mike Conley, this trend right now is just not great. And he did have 3 assists, but man, when this is like your main focal point and this is the numbers you're getting, and then in a game against the Phoenix Suns, who are so good, you would hope this would be a little bit better, and it's just not. And so maybe it's an off night for Mike. Maybe it's an off night for Bojan. Off night defensively for Royce, but it would be nice to see more good games than bad, if you know what I mean. So, let's see. Did we cover everything? No Eric Paschall. Kind of strange, to be honest. I'll be honest, like, there are moments, and maybe this is because this is just crazy town time. This is just us saying thoughts, throwing out ideas. We're pro ideas on this channel. We're pro thought. We're pro thinking ahead. We're not just, tell us, Jazz, what to think and we will think it. No, we're a channel where we just talk about maybe this is something that Jazz should think about. I don't know if Bojan and Royce are better than Paschall and House. Are we sure that they're better than those guys, at least in this team dynamic? Because I tell you what, there were a lot of moments during this game where I felt like Eric Paschall could have been on the floor, and he wasn't. I don't know. But I would just love to see more Eric Paschall minutes, and here's, I guess, what will end tonight, because this was a fun game. Oh, by the way, we spent this whole game, we haven't even really talked about Donovan Mitchell. 26 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. He was the reason they won the game. He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. TGD, we'll go a little crazy. We'll end it on a thought. 8 for 20, 6 for 11. So the 2-point shot wasn't quite there, but the 3 was. And Donovan Mitchell just kept them in this game. And I really love seeing the consistent 5+ free throws per game, because that is the type of playmaking and efficient scoring from the point that you need. Because look at this. 26 on 20 shots, but he has 5 assists. And that's being the focal point. When you have guys like Mike Conley not really contributing at a very high efficiency level, Rudy Gobert was just not good enough tonight. Let's see. Key himself. Let's see. Did I miss a comment? No, Elijah Bard, member for 11 months. Thank you, Elijah. Donovan's defense is definitely above average. Yes. Sorry, Elijah. I almost missed it. These comments are going fast. Yes, he has improved his defense. He was only a -3, but that was because he was on the floor with these guys. What in the world? His defense has gotten better. It just has. People need to give him credit. People rag on his defense, including Rudy, and he needs to be praised. He's gotten better, and he's getting more steals, and he's just doing a better job. Key himself, $2. Always going to bring something that makes me question if I should read it. Monday P-Day. When you was a missionary, we play basketball. Yes, on P-Days, Although I was in South America on my P days and we played soccer and I was really bad. Short story. One time when I was in Argentina when I was a missionary, and the missionaries were there was a minor league soccer team in Cordoba where I was at, and they wanted to play they were what was it? An evangelical church, and they wanted to play our church in soccer. And the guy I was companions with, he was really good at soccer, and they even like tried to like tell him to try out for the team. Anyways, we had like one good guy and like 10 Americans who don't play a lot of soccer, and we were playing a minor league soccer team in Argentina. These guys live, eat, breathe soccer, football, and I was very scared when I was on the green, when I was on the pitch. Whatever they say, I was very nervous for my life because I did not run this way. Try to kick the ball with my talent from like 1 or 2 years of like pee-wee soccer when I was a kid. Worst day ever, man. When you just get absolutely, can you imagine? Why did we do that? That's so stupid. We got dunked on. And they dunked on us and trash talked in a lot of ways, including religious trash talk. And it was not a great day that day for us on the pitch. But we did our best. We did our best, even though we were tanking. We tanked that day. Thanks for reminding me, Key. Reminding me of an embarrassing moment. Key. Man, where even was I? All right, I had one final thing I wanted to talk about. So this is the Jazz team. They have made what moves they're going to make during trade deadline. This is it. And so no moves can be made unless the Jazz pick up like someone who gets like released from someone else, unless there's like a guy out there. But it doesn't look like there's a lot of guys out there. They've been picked up. Whatever is there is picked up. And part of that is probably because so many of remember we had so many players with like COVID protocols, and teams were doing a lot of 10-day contracts, which has probably kind of made it so that there just aren't any guys out there really to just pick up, unless someone gets released. But it just doesn't look like it. So this is the team. This is really it. And this is really now we can just root for this team. Before the trade deadline and on this channel, we talked about trades we wanted to make for a while. And everyone on the channel knows we talked about it a lot, every game. This is it. So this is the team we're rooting for. And so I'm in full root mode, full root for the Jazz. Just do what you can with everything you've got. And this is it. This is also it for Quinn and this core of players. They've had it for 3 years, and I know there's been injuries and things like that have made it difficult to really get over the hump in the playoffs and things like that. But this is it. And so Quinn's got to prove it. And this team has to prove it. Because guess what? Come playoff time, they have to show at least Western Conference Finals. And if they don't make the Western Conference Finals, then when they go into this upcoming offseason, if they lose in the second round, which is likely what's going to happen, honestly, that's just my prediction. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they win the finals. I really do. But what I hope happens and what I think will happen are two different things. If they lose in the second round, this team has got to change drastically. Mike Conley is just not doing it. It's just not enough. And at this point, he's looking pretty old, right? You guys, comment section. Be careful, comment section. Let's see. Royce O'Neale. It's just not really cutting it. With this is defense right here. That's a problem. This is just not cutting it. 2 for 8 from 3, -15 from Mike. It's just not cutting it. This from Bojan. Big time game. 1 for 5 from 3. You can't count on him to knock down an open 3. You can't count on it. But honestly, here's the crazy town we talked about. Who was it that was saying we're going to go full crazy mode? Was it CG or something like that? TGD. By the way, Key himself, $2. One of the sister got a full ride to play basketball at Boise. Ah, nice. Shout out to them. I'm from Idaho and Utah, so I actually root for Boise State. But anyways, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neale. I mean, honestly, if they don't make it, these two are the only players that are like for sure going to be on the Jazz. Right? Honestly, if they don't make it to if they don't make it to the Western Conference Finals, I have more hope. I have more like I would be more inclined to bet that Danuel House stays on this Jazz team than like Bojan and Royce and Mike Conley. I'm not going to lie. That's a bet I would make and likely win because he fits what the Jazz need. What the Jazz need is long athletic wings around Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. And I'll be honest, the only guy that I'm 100%, if they don't go on, is this guy right here. Is Donovan Mitchell. Because you know what? You can go if Danny Ainge doesn't think Rudy Gobert is the answer, and if the playoffs show that he's not really quite the answer, at least for this team, then I wouldn't be surprised if he's moved as well, because he has a lot of value with multiple years on a contract, and you can get something. MC10 for Pascal Siakam straight up. I mean, I would do that, but Toronto's not doing that. But they might do it for Rudy Gobert. And that might be something you just have to think about. I don't know. This offseason will get crazy. And I love Rudy Gobert, and I hope that like they build around Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell because these guys are two all-stars and they can win you a game. But they need long athletic wings of the ilk of Danuel House Jr. to be around them. That's what they need. That's what they need. And so at this point, we're just rooting for the Jazz. And obviously that's a topic for after the playoffs. But I don't know. It's going to be a crazy offseason. If the Jazz lose in the first round, it's going to get like crazy town. If they lose in the second round, I mean, I don't know if that really matters. I wonder if Danny Ainge, and there's some rumors out there. Do you want to hear some rumors and thoughts out there from different things? But the rumor is that the trade deadline was more the Jazz setting things up for this offseason than just like making moves for this year, because honestly it kind of made sense a little bit that Danny Ainge didn't really do a lot. Danuel House has given them what they wanted. If the Jazz made a move for Danuel House and they got their 6'6" long athletic wing that can defend, everyone would be excited. Instead, the Jazz didn't have to make a move at all, and they moved off of a torn ACL Joe Ingles contract and got a guy in Nickeil Alexander-Walker that is big, tall, long, and athletic, and that they can hopefully develop. But Danny Ainge, we'll see what happens. But I think that this trade deadline, he probably has some things set up, some potential moves to make next offseason that he worked on this trade deadline, you know, building certain avenues and things like that. So he knows kind of what's out there. I bet he knows what he can get for certain guys. And it's like, you know, but a lot of that is contingent on what the Jazz do. If the Jazz go to the Western Conference Finals or beyond, then you know what, they probably still move some of these guys, but but you know that this core can go beyond. And then you've got the question of the coach. Is this the coach that can do it, or do you need someone else? Do you actually believe in the core of this too? You just need another coach that maybe can do things in a different way and probably try something else. If you believe in this core, but they're just not performing, then something's got to change, right? And we'll see. So anyways, that's the crazy thought of the night. But what is exciting is that now the Utah Jazz fans can just root for the team. This is the team. They've shown they can get nice wins. They beat the Dallas Mavericks. They beat the Phoenix Suns. Can they do it in the playoffs? We'll find out. This last stretch is a really difficult schedule, and they've started off really nice. Can they get some big wins, you know? So, let's see. I am going to say, okay, You guys are having conversations, and I don't know what's going on, but I hope it's good. All right, let's give a shout out to our all-stars. These are the guys that make it happen. They have joined the channel. They have joined the highest tier. They're just incredible. They make the all-star team. They show up on the stage. They get some dunks. They make some threes. They make things happen for their respective teams and the Hoops Nerd channel. Let's give a shout out to Ryan Perry, the legend, Christian House Money to House, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Baby Elliott Matson, Zintas, X Marks the Spot, Jordan the GOAT Best Roll, Joshua Hansen, the Danish Destroyer, and one Anton Warren, Ezekiel Raisibe, the man from down under, JT Buckets Wardell, Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire, Eric C., the C stands for champion, Donald Schooley, schooling all of us, DW to CB, Darren Williams to Carlos Boozer, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo, Lee Christensen driving the lane, Patrick Kubo, the connoisseur, Robert Hall of Fame, and DW Jazz going all the way. Guys, I've got to look up how to get some more emojis, and I never really thought that the channel would go this long and do have so many dedicated people. You guys are amazing. Tell your friends so this can grow. Share it with people. Let them know, hey, there's this channel. We talk about the Jazz, and there's a lot of things going on. I feel like I've got a lot more in me to start putting out. It's just been a matter of time, but things are going pretty well. And so I'm excited for this year. It's been a crazy couple months for me, I'm not going to lie. But the channel is always so much fun. And it's always so much fun to talk to you guys. But anyways, I got to the guy that did the stuff for me, he disappeared. He's gone. I need to figure out how to reach out to him. He did the basketballs, the Blue Crew balls and the emojis. And we've got to get some more emojis, honestly. And so we'll need to talk about that, but why not 10, all these years we can do and have more emojis and more basketballs to show more long-term memberships. It's pretty fun. I actually really like it. So anyways, guys, if you haven't already, we already talked about it. Like and subscribe to the channel, especially if you're a Jazz fan. But if you're not a Jazz fan and you like to talk about basketball, join it. And if not, go to the NBA channel. I link it to my channel, look for the link and go subscribe to the NBA channel. I would appreciate it a ton. Guys, I will talk to you next time. Oh, wait, did we? No, we got everyone. All right. Bye.